Hey everybody, John Wade Boggs fan here. It is Saturday night. The title for tonight's video is Beyond Boggs, an expansion of my collection. This video, I've been wanting to do it now for a little while, but I waited for about maybe a week and a half until some things could develop. But I've been on YouTube here showing off my Wade Boggs collection for about 2 months now. And in the process, I've seen many other collectors' channels and been extremely impressed by their collections, whether it be a player collector, set collectors, modern, vintage, mixture, autographs, you name it. The cards that I see are just so impressive. And as I'm looking at through these videos, man, I'm saying like, boy, I'd love to have that card, or boy, it'd be really neat to have that card in my collection. And the problem is I have limited funds to be able to devote to the hobby, my collection, and so on. And I want to make it clear, my focus is still going to be Wade Boggs, primarily Wade Boggs. But again, looking at some of these other cards out there and wanting to add them to my collection, I figured I could look at doing an expansion of what I focus on. All right, so not to replace my first focus is still going to be Wade Boggs. So with that, not having a lot of funds available, I need to have a focus. I need to have some other focus of what I want to additionally collect. So where to begin? Just like most collectors start off, where to begin? How do I want to collect? And so I thought, well, there's another PC. Do I want to collect another player? And who would that be? And so on. And I discounted that. I'm like, Wade Boggs is my player collector. I want to do something else. So I crossed that off the list. Then there's, complete sets. Do I want to try to expand? I have a decent collection of complete sets. More of them are modern, go back to 1980, but do I want to go back further? I am, some of you may have seen in some previous videos, I'm working on a 1978 Topps baseball set. Hand set, no graded cards. Very slow process. I think I have maybe 50 cards out of the 728 that are in the set. Slow going, but I want to be very particular in the cards. I want them to be as high of a grade raw as possible, and so on. So that's a long-term project. But so again, do I want to expand into, if I have the 80, do I want the 79 and 77 and keep going back? And one, if I wanted to buy them outright, very expensive. Do I want to try to collect them? The only way to do that is maybe get some very low graded sets. And to me, if I want to hand build a set, I want to have them in as high grade as possible. So I discounted complete sets. So modern. Modern's all the rage, it seems. Well, not all the rage. But while the prices for modern, especially even the 80s players now, are going through the roof for rookie cards and graded stuff and all that stuff. And a lot of there seems to be for modern a high emphasis on getting high graded copies, getting all the rookie cards, getting all these shiny parallels. And while they're neat to look at, I don't follow current baseball that much. If the Red Sox are on or the Mets are on, which are my American League, National League teams, I'll watch them. I don't watch Sports Center all the time. I see these videos of some of the modern players, and you'll notice in some of the videos when I'm opening new packs, I'm like, okay, I think I heard this guy is good. I'm just not up on all the modern players, the key rookies, all that stuff. So I don't feel like I know enough about the modern players, the modern cards, and so on, that I sort of discounted, okay, I'm not going to get into modern. Now, that doesn't mean I'll not buy an odd pack or two here and there to see what I love ripping packs every once in a while. So I discounted modern. Then you could go sort of in between, not quite vintage, not quite modern, sort of like those 80s and 90s. Those are nice as well, but you almost, again, have to have another focus, like another player that you want to go after. The 80s and 90s, all those inserts, and there's some awesome inserts that I've seen. It's like sort of a revival of these mid to late 90s inserts, but they're expensive too. So even when I was collecting, I started collecting in 1978, but I really didn't get the feel for collecting probably until the early to mid 80s. The time of the tops, the 85 tops McGuire, the 86 Donruss Canseco, that time period where I really focused on, hey, these cards actually have some value, or maybe focusing on a player or complete sets or whatever. That's when I sort of got into truly the collecting aspect of it. Even then, I remember being interested in vintage cards. Looking through the price guides. Yeah, okay, what's my 86 Canseco worth? But hey, wow, wouldn't it be cool to own a 1956, whomever? Boy, it'd be really nice to have a Hank Aaron card, or, Carl Yastrzemski, or Ted Williams, or, you name it. I would always focus and look at the prices. But again, when I was 10, 12, 14 years old, I didn't have a lot of money. Allowance here, some odd jobs. So even back then, a $15, $20, $25 vintage card in decent condition was a lot of money. So I never did. I bought packs. I tried to complete sets. That was my focus back then. But I've always had an interest in vintage. So I'm like, okay, I want to go vintage. So then again, you need to narrow it down even further. Vintage could entail a whole slew of areas that you can get into. So that brings me back to the 78 top set that I was working on. And I said I wanted a set, ungraded, a raw set. And when I was thinking of putting the 78 top set together, I had thought, well, do I want to get a set where I get the raw copies of most of the cards, but then some of the key cards I want to have graded? Then I thought, storage, presentation, whatever. I'm like, no, I just want to do a hand-collated set. So it got me to thinking, what if I start working back, starting in 1979, and look through the 79 top set, look at some of the key players, typically Hall of Famers. Not necessarily Hall of Famers. There may be some other players that are Hall of Fame worthy. Dwight Evans, Pete Rose, two names that come to mind. And try to get the highest grade possible that my budget allows for the 1979 set, then 78, then 77, and work my way back as far as I can go before I leave this wonderful earth. Very long-term project. We're talking years that it'll take me to work my way back. But I've been collecting since 1978, so why not another, 35, 40 years? So that's what I decided to do. In addition to my Wade Boggs collection, which again is going to be my focus, if I have the opportunity, I want to look for PSA graded cards of Hall of Famers, or should be Hall of Famers. Now, not every Hall of Famer. For example, first I'm starting off with 79, and actually 79 and 78. 78, just I love that set, so I'm doing both years at the same time. But I'm not going to move to 77 until I have the ones for 79 and 78 that I want. So, yeah, starting with 79 and 78, I want to get the highest grade possible within my budget. So some cases it's a 9. I'm not even attempting any 10s for any of these. But 9s, some of them are 8s, some of maybe the key rookies already in 78 and 79, I'm looking at maybe 7s. And as I work my way back, obviously I'm going to get to a point where the highest grade I'll be able to get is a 6 or a 5 or a 4. And then, you know, the further I get back, maybe a key rookie card from the mid 60s, I'm going to have to look for at a 2 or 3. And if I find a nice copy, that'll work for my collecting goal. So I have purchased some. I went on a little spending spree, but I got them for decent prices within my budget. And so I wanted to show off some of the 78 and 79 Topps graded cards that I've added to the new part of my collection. Before I turn the camera around, I know this has been a long video so far here, but before I turn the video around and show off the cards that I got, would love to hear in the comments your thoughts on how I made my decision, my ultimate decision. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? Do you have ideas? Do you have suggestions on how I go about doing this? I would love to hear from the community. I've put a lot of thought into this, obviously. If it was a case where I had a decent amount of money that I could put towards this, yeah, I may dabble here and there. See something I like, impulse buy, boom, I add it to my collection. But I need to be focused. And again, my primary focus is still and will always be Wade Boggs. So I have to take that into consideration as well. So again, would love to hear your comments below. And with that said, I'm going to turn the camera around and let's take a look at some 1978 and 79 graded Topps baseball cards. All right, I'm going to start off with my 1979 Topps pickups. I have these are all the ones I've bought so far. For 78s, I think I have 3 more coming in the mail, but we'll start off with 79. First one is a Nolan Ryan and a PSA 8. 9s, I think Ryan's for 79s, I think there's a lot of centering issues, and even 9s are fairly expensive. So 8s were in my budget. Still a gorgeous looking card. Not too bad centering on the back. It is obviously way off left to right, but it's good enough for me for an 8. Then we have the 79 Topps George Brett in an 8. That one centered better on the back. That's a nice copy there. And then finishing off, card number 700, Reggie Jackson. Also an 8. So again, small start to my 1979 Topps graded collection. So I have a lot more 78s, and some of them are in higher grade. Here's the first one, Willie McCovey. Wow, this is an 8. Pretty good on the back. Nice copy. Then a mint 9 copy of Raleigh Fingers. I love that pose. And an 8 of the Reggie Jackson. So I have both Reggie Jacksons. Until I get back until like maybe the 60s or so, I'm probably going to stick away from like the subset cards, like the all-star cards or league leaders. I want to focus on the main players cards. But again, it could be 10, 15 years from now by the time I get back to the 50s. But some of those all-star cards are just amazing. So those I may add as well. But that's pretty good centering. Not too bad on the back with the Reggie Jackson. And Nolan Ryan. So now I have the 78 and 79 Ryan. They're both in 8. Not bad on the back. And a Tom Seaver, mint 9. I have there's about, I think, 25, roughly 25 players for 78 and 79 that I'd like to get before I move on to 1977. So again, they're mainly the Hall of Famers. I think not on the list are like Joe Morgan, Gaylord Perry. I don't know, but for whatever reason, I just don't necessarily care for those players. However, if there is in one of the years, there's a card that really looks cool of that player, or maybe that player's rookie card, I may get that, but not maybe concern myself about getting every year of that certain Hall of Famer. But there's a decent list out there. 78s and 79s are full of Hall of Famers. There's a Steve Carlton mint out of 9. And that's my last one that I've picked up so far. But like I said, I have 3 more 78s on their way. So in the future, when you see some mail day videos, yes, they will include Wade Boggs cards to add to my collection, but they will also include some PSA cards to start off my vintage collection. So I will end with this really nice 79 Topps Nolan Ryan for this video. Again, would love to know your thoughts on this direction that I'm going. Any tips, tricks, suggestions, you name it. Would love to hear from you. And as always, thanks for watching.